So in your most recent field work, what was the greatest challenge in working with different stakeholders? Like what worked, what didn't work, and can you give examples of good cooperation of stakeholders in the field?
Oh,
it's a huge question.
It is a huge question. The problem with that question is that stakeholders are very varied and come from a gamut of sources. So you've got civil, as in the government, local government. You've got other governments coming in. You've got military people, and those are the donor side. And then you have the beneficiary side, and that can go from the poor, the needy, the medically, the people who are injured, and so on and so forth. And then you've got people in the middle, which is the NGOs. And each NGO has their own take on things and their own cause and their own way of doing things. And the problem is, everywhere you go is slightly different. Not only the people are different, but what is needed is different and what is given is different. So trying to make everything work is a lesson in diplomacy more than anything else. So if you were to ask me what is the most important skill set for somebody who can do humanitarian coordination, it will be diplomacy, it will be tact, it will be somebody who can roll with the punches, know when to be strong and know when to be weak. Because at the end of the day, it's not about you, it's about the goodness or doing things for the good of the situation. Yeah. So working with the other actors, you have to change. So for my last mission, I spoke just now. I was in China for the earthquake, and we had to deal with military liaisons, government liaisons. We had to deal with the locals who sometimes thought that we were in the way and sometimes thought that we weren't doing enough. So you had to change your stance wherever you go, and you had to adapt to different people who are asking you different questions. I don't know if that answers your questions.
That's great. So my second question would be, how does your group Humanity Assist build awareness on disasters?
Yeah, a lot of what's missing, especially in Singapore today, regarding humanitarian assistance and disaster relief is education. People still treat this as charity, and there's a big difference, right? These people are not necessarily needy because of their socio-economic situation, and they will not take gifts that are just given to you because they seem to be poor. And that, in a nutshell, is what needs to be changed. So we try our best to educate people about what to contribute, not only in terms of monetary or items, but also in skill sets, in capabilities and capacities, maybe even in training. So what we try and tell people is that, what are you good at? Can you do that over there? Then you can make a value add. If you can't, leave it alone. If you want to do something good, donate money, donate your time, volunteer with one of the local organizations that are doing stuff. So a lot of it is about education.
Right. And so that kind of leads into my second question. So if someone wanted to volunteer for Humanity Assist and would want to carry out field work with your group, is there a specific profession or capability that they should have, or are you looking for doctors and nurses, or just everyday people who are willing and able to help?
Well, actually, Humanity Assist, we are a training and consultancy company. So we do humanitarian aid as and when the situation calls for it. And frankly, so far, we've only done that for Nepal.
Right.
And like I said before, sometimes we assess the situation and we think that we will be better off helping from afar, because when you want to go in and help, you have to make sure that you are helping. You don't go in there and make trouble or cause a lack of resources. So for example, I go there, somebody has to feed me, somebody has to put a roof over my head, somebody has to shelter me. Are you a value add to the system? So most of the time we think it's better off that we help from afar. But to answer your question, if somebody wants to go into the field and help, whether we do field work on later in the coming years, which we hope to do, I think the most pertinent is somebody who can roll with the punches, somebody who is adaptable. Medical work is very high on the priority list because in any disaster, medical needs are the utmost. So we will look for doctors, nurses, but on top of that, soft medical needs, so psychologists, therapists, things like that. So those are also necessary. But at the end of the day, they will not get anything done without logisticians. And logisticians are the people that make the well-oiled machine run. So those are the people that are most important.
Right. Just for my final question, what do you think is the role of diaspora communities in humanitarian response in your experience? In your humanitarian activities, have you engaged with such communities to facilitate your efforts?
I think that's very geographical, because let's say when the China earthquake happened, it wasn't such a big diaspora as compared to when Typhoon Haiyan happened, because the number of Filipinos living abroad and giving back were essentially a lot more than what you see in China. But bearing in mind that was 2008 back then, so it was a long time ago. But I would say that do not underestimate the diaspora. They can really help, and the fact is that they know the culture, they know the language, and that really helps in your efforts to find out what actually is needed on the ground, because you can't rely on the media, you can't rely on the mass media, because they report what is interesting, what is sexy for their readers to read, and not very rarely is what they report totally true. So it's always good to have somebody on the ground. So having a diaspora that can connect you to what is happening on the ground is very, very important. So I think not only in the terms of monetary or non-financial aid, as in items, food or non-food items, but in terms of their connection to the ground, they are very, very important. Yeah.